She can't do this. Arrest him! I heard the shrill scream before I even saw her. There she was, standing on my porch in her oversized sunglasses, waving a stack of papers like she owned the street. But I was on my own land. My hands tightened around the coffee cup as she stomped closer, heels clicking, the sun glinting off her fake diamond rings. "Give me your door code," she demanded, voice dripping with authority that she didn't have. "Or we'll fine you and—" I cut her off. "You don't get my code. You don't own this house." Her eyes narrowed, fury twisting her face. "Oh, I own this neighborhood. HOA rules don't lie." She pulled out a clipboard. "And refusing to comply, that's a $500 fine per day." I glanced at my little girl watching from the window, her tiny hands pressed against the glass. My stomach tightened. This wasn't just some annoying neighbor anymore. She had crossed the line. "You can try, but I've got proof. This is my home, my property. You're breaking the law," I said, keeping my voice calm, though my heart was pounding. She sneered, ignoring me, and marched to my front gate, where she tried to write her official notice on my door. I stopped her hand. "That paper? Fake. You're not HOA president, and you're not a cop. Step back." Her face turned red and she snapped, "I'm calling the cops right now. They'll make you comply." I took a deep breath, letting her fury hit me, but inside I smiled just slightly. I knew something she didn't, something that would flip this nightmare on her in ways she couldn't even imagine. And as she stomped away to make her call, I felt the first flicker of satisfaction. Because her plan wasn't going to work. Not on me, not on my family. And when she returned, I had a little surprise ready for her. One that would leave her screaming, but not at me. "Think you can scare me with fake rules?" I muttered under my breath, watching her stumble over her own arrogance. "Think again." Her phone rang. She answered, and I could see her confidence falter. I didn't need to listen closely to hear the panic in her voice. Something was about to break, and I was ready to watch it.
She froze mid-sentence, staring at her phone like she'd seen a ghost. I leaned against the railing, pretending to sip my coffee, but every nerve in my body was alert. Through the glass, I could see my little girl clutching her favorite stuffed bear, eyes wide. This wasn't just about a door code anymore. It was about keeping my family safe from a woman who thought rules were hers to bend. "Excuse me, what?" she whispered, voice shaky now. Her perfect nails dug into the phone like she was trying to hold on to control, but it was slipping. I stepped closer, calm, letting her see me. "That's right," I said. "The cops you called? They just checked your complaints and discovered your HOA credentials are fake. Impersonating authority is a crime." Her mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. No, that can't." I smiled, my military training kicking in from years on the field. Calm, precise, in control. "Oh, it can, and it will." She backed toward the curb, looking around like someone might rescue her. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains, whispering and pointing. She had no allies here. The woman who once strutted like she owned the world was shrinking before everyone's eyes. I could see the humiliation on her face and couldn't resist pushing it just a little further. "You came to my house demanding my door code, threatening fines, and now," I paused, letting the weight hit her, "you're about to learn that rules aren't for people who make them up." Her knees buckled. A uniformed police officer approached, flashing his badge. She tried to plead, waving her arms, but it was useless. I had recorded everything, her threats, her fake notices, even the moment she admitted she wasn't authorized. Evidence was on my side, the law was on my side, and now justice was walking up my driveway. As she was handcuffed, she yelled at me, voice cracking, "You can't do this! I'm important!" I shook my head slowly, smiling, but tired. "You can't demand my life for your ego. Not here, not ever." Inside, my daughter jumped into my arms, relief washing over us. I held her tight and whispered, "It's over. She can't touch us. Outside, the neighbors watched, some nodding, some whispering, all witnessing the downfall of someone who thought they were untouchable. I could see the humiliation on her face and couldn't resist pushing it just a little further. You came to my house demanding my door code, threatening fines, and now, I paused, letting the weight hit her, you're about to learn that rules aren't for people who make them up. Her knees buckled. A uniformed police officer approached, flashing his badge. She tried to plead, waving her arms, but it was useless. I had recorded everything, her threats, her fake notices, even the moment she admitted she wasn't authorized. Evidence was on my side, the law was on my side, and now justice was walking up my driveway. As she was handcuffed, she yelled at me, voice cracking, "You can't do this, I'm important." I shook my head slowly, smiling, but tired. You can't demand my life for your ego. Not here, not ever. Inside, my daughter jumped into my arms, relief washing over us. I held her tight and whispered, "It's over. She can't touch us." Outside, the neighbors watched, some nodding, some whispering, all witnessing the downfall of someone who thought they were untouchable. And somewhere deep inside, I knew this wasn't just a victory for me. It was a warning. No fake authority, no matter how loud or confident, could ever take what was rightfully ours. By the time she was led away in handcuffs, her screams had turned into weak mutters, barely audible over the murmurs of the neighbors. I closed the door slowly, leaning against it for a moment, letting the adrenaline drain. My little girl peeked out from behind me, eyes wide but safe. "Daddy, she's gone?" she whispered. "Yes, sweetheart," I said, ruffling her hair. "Gone for good." But just as I thought the nightmare was over, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number flashed. "You think it's over? You have no idea what's coming." My stomach sank. Someone was picking up the pieces of her revenge. I stepped outside again, scanning the quiet street. Everything looked normal. The mailman, the kids on bikes, neighbors mowing lawns. But that message felt like a warning shot. Whoever was behind it had eyes everywhere, and Karen wasn't acting alone. Suddenly, my neighbor, Mrs. Patel, popped over the fence, eyes wide. "Did you see her car? It's gone. Towed?" I blanked. "What do you mean?" "They said it was illegally parked, but it had a sticker from the HOA, the same one Karen used to threaten you." Her voice dropped. "Someone's trying to make it look like you're breaking the rules now." My pulse quickened. Karen's game wasn't over. She had allies, or at least someone willing to continue her mess. But I had a plan too. I pulled out my tablet and checked the security footage from the street cameras. Every move she made, every conversation she tried to stage, it was all recorded. My wife stepped out from the garage, arms crossed, giving me that look only she could give after handling SWAT-level situations. "You better hope they're ready for a real fight," she said, smirking. I nodded. They picked the wrong house, the wrong family, and the wrong vet. That night, I stayed up, going over every frame, every message, every document. Karen's network was bigger than I thought, but so was mine. I wasn't just defending my home. I was preparing to expose everyone involved, one by one. And the more I dug, the more I realized she had underestimated me completely. The next morning, I woke to the sound of gravel crunching outside. I looked through the blinds. 2 black SUVs parked across the street, engines idling. My chest tightened. No markings, no plates I could read clearly. They weren't cops. They were watching. I stepped onto the porch, trying to stay calm. A man in a polo shirt leaned against one of the SUVs, holding a clipboard. He smirked when he saw me. "Morning, sir. HOA inspection. You've been flagged for several violations." My jaw clenched. "Funny," I said. "The last person who tried that ended up in cuffs." He didn't flinch. "We're reinstating proper management. You'll need to cooperate if you don't want additional penalties." Behind him, I spotted a woman in the passenger seat.
Karen's assistant, the same one who always followed her around with a camera. My blood boiled. So this was her backup plan. She couldn't win legally, so she sent people to intimidate me. "I'm not signing anything," I said firmly. He smiled wider, tapping the clipboard. "Then we'll have to handle it another way." Before I could answer, my phone buzzed again. Another message from the same unknown number. "You should have just given her the code. Now, watch what happens next." And right then, I heard it. The sound of my truck's alarm blaring from the driveway. I spun around and saw a tow truck hooking it up, the driver ignoring my shouts. "Hey, that's private property." I ran toward them, but the clipboard guy stepped in my way, smirking. "Violation, Section 8, unauthorized vehicle." "You're making this up." He shrugged. "Talk to Karen about it." That name hit like a punch. She was behind this, even from a cell. Somehow she had pulled strings, sent her people, and turned the HOA into a weapon again. But this time, I wasn't just going to fight back. I was going to expose every single one of them. As the tow truck pulled away, my wife appeared beside me, arms crossed, eyes cold. "We're done playing defense," she said. I nodded. Yeah, it's time they see who they're really dealing with. Because what they didn't know, what Karen never found out, was that I wasn't just a veteran. I still had connections, the kind that could end this whole charade with one phone call.
By mid-afternoon, the street had quieted again, but the tension didn't leave. I checked my security cameras. Footage showed the tow truck driver sneaking around, taking pictures of my property, whispering into his phone. Someone was building a case, a fake story, but I was already 3 steps ahead. I grabbed my laptop and started tracing every phone number, every email, every tiny connection I could find back to Karen and her little crew. My wife leaned over my shoulder, pointing at the screen. "Look, all roads lead back to her." I nodded grimly. She's trying to make it look like I'm the problem, but she forgot one thing. I record everything. The next knock at the door made both of us jump. It was the mailman holding a thick envelope. "Special delivery," he said, handing it over. "No return address." I tore it open. Inside was a stack of fake HOA fines, complete with official-looking stamps and threats of legal action. "She's back," my wife muttered. I opened the envelope fully, scanning the documents. Not just back, she's escalating. My fingers trembled slightly, not from fear, but from anticipation. I had a plan, and it was about to hit her where it hurt most, her reputation. I started filming her next moves with hidden cameras, every encounter, every lie, every fake complaint. By the end of the day, I had hours of footage. Karen and her assistant breaking laws, intimidating me, trying to steal my property rights. I felt a thrill. This wasn't just defense anymore. This was the beginning of the end for her. That night, as I reviewed the footage, my phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. "You think you're winning? Keep watching. She's not done." I smiled, leaning back in my chair. "Then let her try," I muttered, "because I've got the proof and everyone's going to see it." My daughter peeked in, eyes sleepy. "Daddy, will she ever leave us alone?" I hugged her tight. She is about to learn that no one messes with our family, not on my watch. The next morning, I woke to chaos. My phone was exploding with messages from neighbors, screenshots, tags, videos. Karen's assistant had posted a twisted version of events all over the local Facebook group. According to her, I was the one threatening the HOA, refusing inspections, and endangering the neighborhood. The comments were wild. Some believed her, some didn't, but the damage was already spreading. My wife scrolled through the posts jaw tight. "They're painting you as a criminal," she said. "This is defamation." I nodded, but a slow smile crept across my face. Good, let them dig their hole. They just stepped into evidence I can trace. We drove straight to the sheriff's office. The deputy on duty raised an eyebrow when I walked in. "You again?" he asked, half amused, half curious. "Yeah," I said, setting my laptop on the counter. But this time, I'm not here to complain. I'm here to report a crime. Within minutes, I had the footage playing. Karen's assistant forging notices, recording fake violations, even trespassing on my land at night. The deputy's expression changed fast. He called his supervisor, and soon 2 officers were reviewing every second of it. One of them turned to me and said, "Sir, this isn't just harassment. This is organized fraud." I exhaled slowly. So she's not just a nosy neighbor, she's running a scam. They nodded, and now she's under investigation. That evening, as the sun set, I got a call. It was the sheriff himself. "We've got warrants," he said. "You might want to be home tonight." I hung up and looked at my wife. "It's happening," I said quietly. An hour later, red and blue lights flashed across the street. The same SUVs that came to intimidate me were now surrounded by real police. Karen's assistant was dragged out in cuffs, shouting that it was all a mistake. But the moment I saw Karen herself, handcuffed, furious, and screaming from the backseat of a squad car, I felt everything inside me go still. She looked right at me and hissed, "You'll regret this." I met her eyes, calm and steady. "No," I said softly. "I regret not pressing record sooner."
The next morning, the street was quiet, almost eerily so. The chaos of yesterday felt like a distant nightmare, but I knew better. Karen's threats had a way of lingering, even behind bars. My wife poured coffee as I reviewed the news alerts. Every local outlet was covering her arrest. Ex-HOA president arrested for impersonating authority and harassment, the headlines read. Neighbors came by, cautiously at first, then with congratulations. Some brought pies, some brought cookies, all smiling but curious. I waved them off gently. "It's not about celebration," I said. "It's about making sure this never happens again." Inside, I set the security footage on the big screen. Every violation, every lie, every intimidation attempt. My wife and I watched together, silent but satisfied. She thought she could control everyone, I said, but rules exist for a reason, and truth always catches up. Then my phone buzzed again. Another message, this time from an unknown number, but different. "Good job. You played it smart. She won't be back." I smiled, realizing that the fight had left a mark, not just on her, but on the neighborhood. People had seen the truth. Fear had turned into respect for those who knew how to defend themselves. Later, I took my daughter out to the backyard. She ran around, laughing, her carefree joy a sharp contrast to the tension that had gripped our home. "Daddy, can we play now?" she asked. I knelt down and hugged her tightly. "Yes, baby, the nightmare's over. This is our home, and no one can take that from us." As the sun dipped below the horizon, I felt a deep sense of peace. It wasn't just about justice, it was about family, land, and standing up for what's right. Karen's screams and threats were gone, replaced by the quiet knowledge that truth had its own power. Weeks later, life finally felt normal. The lawn was mowed, the neighborhood kids played, and the little mailbox still had my daughter's drawings taped inside. But even as we settled back into routine, I knew the story wasn't just ours. It was a warning to anyone thinking they could abuse power. Then the phone rang. It was the sheriff. "We've wrapped up the investigation," he said. "Karen pled guilty. She's facing jail time, and her assistant won't be allowed near this neighborhood again." I exhaled, a weight lifting from my chest. "Good," I said. "Justice served the right way." My wife came over, holding our daughter. "You know," she said, "you handled this like a pro. Calm, smart, no ego, just strategy." I shrugged. "We just protected our family, our home. That's all that mattered." Later that evening, I sat on the porch, watching the sunset. The street was peaceful. No fake notices, no threatening calls, no black SUVs lurking. Just quiet. And pride. Not just in winning, but in standing up when it counted. As I sipped my coffee, I smiled at my daughter, who was running barefoot on the grass. "You'll always have a safe home," I whispered. "No one can take that from you. Not Karen, not anyone." And deep down, I knew it wasn't just about us. It was about freedom, about rights, about showing the world that even the most entitled, fake authorities could be exposed and held accountable.